Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining our panel, Experience-Driven Commerce, How the Best Brands Lead with User Experience. I, as Satira mentioned, am Al Williams, and I am a cup-in big set of Panelists, which I will introduce in just a second. And I also want to say thank you very much. I know we had a very competitive schedule here where there is the B2C for agent to agent upstairs in the on the main stage. So thank you very much for joining this session. I am super excited to talk to all of the panelists. So I will introduce them in a second, but I'm just going to get right into it. It was really great to prepare this session with these four brands. When I introduced them, they couldn't be any more different. We've got a heritage leather brand, a national mattress and sleep retailer, a legacy baking company, and one of the most iconic names in beauty. And you would think that they really wouldn't have anything in common when it comes to e-commerce or user experience. But ultimately, what we found is that all of these are really high intent, high consideration purchases. And we all have one thing in common, which is the customer and the customer need. So this session, hopefully, we'll hear from these experts and kind of take away a couple of key topics. One is how how customers feel confident making large purchasing decisions online as well as offline, and when they actually may steer people away from buying something online. What it takes to guide shoppers through highly complex catalogs across omnichannel, as well as we're leaning into kind of this agentic future, and finally, some of the biggest lessons that they've learned along the way. If we have time, we'll talk about a hot button topic, which is AI. So I will introduce the panelists over here from left to right. We have Janine Coleman, who's our e-commerce manager for Giles. Those who don't know Giles, it's a heritage leather goods and furniture brand, blending artisanal craftsmanship with creative D2C and B2B experiences. They are one of our big commerce winners and have an absolutely beautiful storefront. Next is Kristen Eglenowitz, from Executive Director, Digital Commerce from Estee Lauder. Estee Lauder is a global leader in luxury skincare and beauty, delivering highly personalized and localized digital experiences at scale. Next to Kristen is Mike Hofer, Director of Web Product Strategy. Welcome back, Mike. I know you were a panelist last year, so thank you for joining us again from King Arthur Baking. And King Arthur Baking is a trusted name in baking for those who don't know or haven't seen it on their supermarket shelves. And they're a massive content-first digital footprint rooted in community, education, and commerce with, as you mentioned, nearly 3,000 recipes and 2,000 blog posts, which is absolutely amazing. And last but not least, on the end is Alex Sims, VP of Digital E-commerce for Sleep Country Canada. And Sleep Country Canada is Canada's leading sleep specialty retailer, known for taking their high-touch in-service and delivering it better sleep outcomes across a unified digital experience. So I will stop talking now, and I will get right into the panelists to kind of ask them their perspective. So the first thing that I wanted to address with each of these is each of you sell products that require quite a bit more thought and research and assurance than your average online purchase, whether it be from a piece of cosmetics to a luxury chair or bag, all the way to the mattress, and also how do you recommend products for a particular recipe that you're baking. So, Mike, I'm actually going to ask you this one first. I'm going to ask all the panelists the same question. What, in your case, your digital experience or UX feature has made the biggest impact in helping your high-end tech customers confidently make a purchase, be that online or offline?
Sure. I think a couple things come to mind. I'm always surprised by the simple impact of payment options, making it easier for customers to purchase. There's a lot of, you can maybe drive yourself a little bit nuts with, what if we move the button this way, that way? When we introduce new payment methods, we see this immediate uptake in the customers' love. Is that the flexibility to have different ways to pay. Specifically, one of the things we've done this past year, we consider ourselves a publisher almost as much as an e-commerce retailer. We have all these recipes, so we do have an integrated catalog between our products and our recipes. So you can search for a SKU and find all the recipes that you can make with Vietnamese cinnamon. From any recipe that includes a product, we obviously link over to Ecommerce. We did integrate sort of a pop-up experience, so you don't have to go all the way over to the site. You can get a quick preview of the product. Those are a few of the things we've done over the last couple of years, and would be happy to talk about our on-demand baking classes as well at some point. But as we get into the discussion today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mike. It is interesting when you think about customer or user experience that payment is one of those options, but it really is, right? There's every aspect of any part of the journey, and to make it as many options as possible and remove that friction is huge. So love that answer. Kristen, I'm going to ask you the same question. Thinking about kind of beauty specifically and with different skin types and different skin conditions, what digital experience or UX features made the biggest impact in helping your high-intent customers confidently make a purchase, whether that be online or across the channels that you sell to?
Yeah, when we think about the user experience, we don't just think about the brand.com. We try to extend all of those offerings to our other channels so that we're meeting the consumer in any touch point they may be. One thing that comes to mind is some work we did recently with Feedonomics, where we enhanced our existing product data with our shade match data. And the end result was that the customer, if you have a virtual try-on experience, which we have on site, but they can have it now in your search results, like without leaving Google at all, without going to the site. Try on a lipstick right there, change the shade right there, and then decide whether they want to go to the site, whatnot. We try to replicate the on-site experience in other channels and offer consistency throughout the whole experience.
I love that. Being able to deliver personalization and not even have to go back to the storefront is like next level, I feel like, in terms of delivering what customers are expecting. So that's amazing. I love to hear that innovation. Alex, I'll ask you this question as well. So I actually just recently took the Sleep the Mattress Finder with UG Levy. Love it. Love the site as well. So if you want to touch on that or any other digital experience that we know finding a mattress is incredibly overwhelming. So is there anything in particular with Sleep Country that you've done to kind of increase customer confidence when making purchase?
Yeah, we love our sleep daddy. That's what we call him. Go check him out. And what I would say is sleep is such an important part of our overall wellness, and your mattress is a huge part of that. So there's so much more at stake for our customers when they're making a decision to purchase a mattress than just considerations of like a price tag or what it looks like. They care about what it feels like. Does it feel good? Right? Is it meeting the needs that I have in terms of sleep? And so how do you bring that like sense of touch online? Let me know if you find out. It's really hard. We've learned a lot of stuff. We've done some stuff wrong. We've done some stuff right. And basically what we've decided is we are leveraging AI through our Smart Quiz, and we've incorporated this really rich but simplified storytelling all throughout our touches in the journey, so that our customers, by the time they get to cart, they can feel really confident that they have all the information they might need to make that purchase.
Yeah, I was definitely feeling a lot more confident in the options that were given to me, for sure. But it is. I love the storytelling aspects with the imagery that was used across the board, and also just the color schemes and the tones from green to red, or even using terms like, what do you have a partner? Do they sleep? Like I really loved engaging with that, and I actually did feel that it boosted my confidence with the ramp specifically. So, thank you. Janine, last but not least, I'll ask you. We're in Giles. You have and support kind of luxury goods, and spending $3,000 to $5,000 on a chair is a really big investment. So, is there anything specifically on your storefront or across your digital experience that you help boost confidence with your buyers?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the tools that we've integrated in the past year has been Cylindo, which is a 3D rendering software, and that allows us to give a high level of confidence for a customer or a user to be able to drape the chair silhouette or the sofa that they're looking at and the leather that they're considering, which leather as a natural material does have variation. Your leather isn't going to look exactly like your rendering, but thankfully because of this technology, it's given a higher level of confidence to a user to be able to really get through the bundle and to actually make the purchase instead of just going, gee, I wonder how top's going to look like in this kind of little square. So
yeah, absolutely. It feels like you're really lending and leading that emotional aspect into the experience of what this is going to look like, how it's going to feel in my environment, both with the product and the technology. So I love that. Thank you. Thank you all very much for all of your perspectives. These next two questions I'm actually going to target towards Mike and Alex. So when we were crumbing for this session, one of the things that I found really interesting was that both King Arthur and Sleep Country don't exclusively optimize for their online checkout. I know Mike did talk about payment options, but sometimes the goal is to influence the journey and not necessarily the conversion off-site. So my question for you, Mike, is flour isn't typically a product that people buy online, unless maybe you're door dashing it because you need to make a last minute recipe. But what digital tools or content steer people towards retail channels or your partner stores instead? How do you influence that with your overall digital experience?
I think the recipes themselves, I think baking is a thing you need to plan a little bit for. So there's not a lot of last minute, I need to get this now and bake. We don't like to ship 5-10 pound bags of flour via the mail. If they ship in a paper bag, it always breaks. People open the box and there's white powder all over the place. We haven't officially sort of tried to discourage that and push people towards our grocery stores, or, Whole Foods, Wegmans, whatever the brands are down here, Hannaford and others up in the Northeast. So we would consider doing integrating some B2P features that would point people to our local stores instead of buying from us. We haven't quite got to that point where people are truly comfortable with that transition of pushing away from the cart. But we do our best to encourage people to buy local where we can. Obviously, store finder type features on the website and other feeds like that.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And Alex, I'll ask you a similar question. How do you use your website today to drive people in stores for your virtual consultations? I know that's a really big value of Sleep Country, especially in a way that kind of reduces returns and increases long-term satisfaction for your customers. So how do you transition that from your digital to your in-store guide though?
Yeah. Sleep is such a deeply personal experience. And so what might be the best pillow in the world for me might cause you neck pain. It's not a bad pillow. It's just not the pillow for you. And so we really don't take a stance on how our customers shop with us, whether they want to do it online, they want to do it in store, some kind of hybrid with our sleep experts. We don't decide that for them. But what we're trying to do is provide the right information for our unified customer. And so, we've got 30 years of data and sleep science that we're incorporating digitally and in store so that no matter where you are as our customer, you're getting access to that sleep expertise. And I'm sure a lot of people in here are like, Sleep Country who? Like, this is not, super familiar in this area maybe. But we really are a beloved brand in Canada. And our customers keep coming back. They have that long-term satisfaction because they're getting that product that's unique to them because it is backed by all this data and all of this science. So we're meeting them where they are, whatever that looks like. We recently pushed out our whole digital ecosystem, which is multi-language, multi-storefront. So we're just accessible. We're there, and we're there with some real meat behind it. We can really pack a punch in terms of what you really need for your sleep. So it's becoming more unified from a tool perspective, but also truly an experience perspective.
Yeah, confidence is key there in terms of using the data to drive that. So I love that, using real definitive data to drive consumer confidence. I was in Vancouver a couple of weekends ago and I go by Sleep Country. I was, I was so excited to see it after this. Thank you both for those perspectives. I think next I'm going to go to Kristen and Janine. I'll ask you a question first. But also when we were kind of prepping for this session, I found that there was a correlation between your two brands around luxury, and luxury can and oftentimes means complexity. Either there are multiple options or there's just a level, an additional barrier to purchase just because of the price tag. And so when you think about when it comes to things like customization, personalization, and assortment, Kristen, how does the complexity in your product assortment specifically affect your omnichannel experience? How do you ensure that personalization, as you mentioned previously in your example, carries across channel, but what challenges ultimately come with that in managing all those variations?
Yeah, I would say when we think about the complexities, they're not just in the product assortment, they're in the fact that the consumer these aren't just like product choices, they are actual identity evaluations. We're talking about people with acne concerns, someone that might have a confidence issue, things that are like, they really make choice a real barrier for us. Choice overload becomes a real barrier for us. So to address that, we tend to focus on consistency without sameness, meeting the customer and having those unique experiences, but not exactly the same. She might be able to have a fast interaction on Instagram checkout in the DMs and a longer one on the beauty chat on site. We have dynamic quizzes that are tailored to behavior they're in and leverage the data from those to inform some recommendations that we might make. And ultimately, we want to We want customer to be not feeling overwhelmed, but feeling empowered with their decision.
I love that you bring that back to identity as well. And I think that holistically across the board, one of the things that B2C specifically is rooted in is an identity or a feeling that you have. And I love that the infusion across all those, whether it be with the data and an experience, whether it be with a recommendation or a set of specific recipes, whether it be a recommendation or an AI visual about how this looks, is like you can really take the identity of yourself and the consumer and infuse that with all of your brands, which is really fantastic. So that's one of the things that I love doing so much research ahead of this by really immersing myself in all of your storefronts and websites. So thank you so much. Janine, I'll ask you this question. So premium leather booths, as I mentioned before, are an investment. You're going to spend $400 on a bag or $3,000 on a chair. You're really going to want to make sure that you're going to have that for the long term. And so I know that your brand value is your assortment. I think I've counted 40 plus, maybe 42 leather options for one of your popular chairs. And with that said, what are some of the other ways that you use UX to assure customers are choosing the right option for them above and beyond kind of what you had expressed with your 3D visualizer?
Yeah, so having two very different types of product sets is one of the obstacles that we face. You know, the customer who's there to purchase a luggage tag or a bag is oftentimes the same customer who's also interested in a sofa, but they're very different price point.
Yes.
So we've tried to really look into with furniture, what are the deciding factors for somebody wanting to make a high intent purchase. So two of the big factors for us that we found are color and availability. That really helps filter down what the user is looking for quickly. So those 33 colors quickly become, there's actually only 4 blues. That's much less overwhelming than 33 options. And then, availability, we might only have 1 in stock and the others are made to order. So giving the customer the ability to filter quickly, because luxury often is synonymous with ease. And if you cannot provide the customer the ease that they're looking for, they're going to look elsewhere.
Yeah, love that. I love the categorization of really narrow it down. So yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Thanks, Bo. Okay, I wish I had the time, but I know that we're heading to 180. Fantastic. I think just pulling, in this case, lessons from the field. So this is going to be something that I'll ask each of you. And for anyone listening, whether you're building a site, leading a transformation, evaluating a platform, you're here because you want to hear from the experts. You want to hear a glimpse of a suggestion or a lessons learned. And so I really wanted to add this in to say, for the group, what is one thing that you learned that the audience can learn from too, whether that be in your recent transformation? I know Sleep Country just recently went live, all the way up through delivering your omnichannel strategy. So this can be something like a surprising insight, maybe a useful metric, an observation from your business, or really just kind of a one-line takeaway that somebody kind of in the audience can leverage from your experience. And so, Mike, I'll start with you again. I know you're over there contemplating.
I've been in the business for a long time. I've been through, in my time at King Arthur, I've been through a couple of really, really large projects. We went from when I joined, we were a custom platform, written in Java. Our website was a bunch of flat files. Our first transformation project was moving some of the Ask content into Drupal. And then a few years later, we did the transition of our custom e-commerce platform to BigSummit, and that went live towards the end of calendar 21. I think what I've learned through that process is that the user SAT, where the past is obdurate, the past doesn't want to change in some ways with these projects. We're a small company, we're only 350 people, but transformations like this can take time to make. There are real and imagined barriers to change at time, and I think our job as e-commerce leaders is to help lead that change, but it can't be just, we got to do this catalyst thing tomorrow. I'm going to come home and we're going to implement MakeSwift next week. I'm excited by those technologies, but I see it as like a 2-year, potentially a 2-year horizon for us to do that, and it's about bringing people along, bringing your fellow leaders in the company along the ride with you and making sure they understand why we're we want to do this, and how it adds to our user experience or helps decrease our costs of management and running the store.
Yeah. So I hear is have a roadmap and a direction, but have kind of bite-sized consumable milestones in which you can achieve, and then focus your, your success metrics around them.
Yeah, and work at a company that takes a long-term view of things.
Yeah, that's fantastic. To not just look 2 quarters ahead, but to look at years ahead and really invest in your customer. Yeah, that's fantastic. Thanks, Mike. Alex, I'll ask you the same question. What's a surprising insight or useful metric or just an observation from your business that you found recently going multi-geo, multi-region, multi-language across BigCommerce and just your digital experience in general?
Yeah, all the things. I'll kind of piggyback off of Mike, actually. Big creation is my world. I'm really passionate about it. I kind of crazy, and I made it my life's work for some reason. And, one thing that I even share with the group is it's not as easy as the switch, but so much more than that with all the change that comes with it is the peaks and valleys that your team goes through. You're literally asking them to show up one day and do something completely different than they'd ever done. So yes, we have to implement technology. We've got to get all of that going. We've got to have new processes for new ways of working. But you're fundamentally asking someone to show up and be different than what they were the day before. And changing people is the hardest part of that. We often say you could implement anything you wanted all day long as people were not involved. And so on the transformation side, there's a statistic from multiple Big Four consulting companies, and it says 75% of transformations fail, only 25% are actually successful. And then there's a small subset of that 25 that even actually meets all the outcomes that they expected to meet with that transformation. So it's a small club. We call it the 25% club. And to be in that 25% club, all the research, all the data, all the information says is all about the leader. How does the leader show up for their team? It's not enough to buy a ticket to go on the journey. You got to show up and be on the bus every single day. And even more than that, you have to have a dedicated vision. You have to have real clarity around your outcomes. And so my challenge and my encouragement to the leaders in the room is if you're going to sign up for a transformation, don't be confused in some of the hardest things you'll ever do. It's also extremely magical to see your team rally around the way that they do. And you've got to be the person that's willing to show us every single day and hold that man. No matter if it's a peep or a value, you don't get to fluctuate. Your team does, and that's so important. And I'll be the person that does do a shout out for our CEO, Stuart Schieffer. I mean, he's just been absolutely phenomenal through our transformation. We launched more than just BigCommerce. We did an entire digital ecosystem full of automation, full of personalization, multiple AI opportunities and features. So it was far beyond flipping on e-commerce platform. And he and our SVP, Sarah Noquat, I mean, they held the mantle the whole way through. And it did. It took, a while. It wasn't overnight. So that's my encouragement. If you're going to do it, go all in.
I love that. But both of you, it was, kind of find the people that you want to lead or be the people who lead and that you want to be,
It picks partners you like to work with to do any, whether BigCommerce or your agency.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you. Kristen, I'll ask you the same question. From kind of the omni-channel approach as well, what's one thing that you learned that the audience can learn too?
Yeah, so for us, I definitely think one thing that we learned is that it's not always the big things that make the biggest change. Sometimes it's those micro affirmations that lead to the macro outcomes. A well-timed product recommendation or a simple, this product is great for you, leveraging data that we know about them can really kind of push customers over the edge. We don't really just focus on the conversion, but it's also about making sure that they're coming back. We want their attention, we want the loyalty, and it's really important to our brands, especially when there's so many options for the same product out there. So I think it's not overlooking the small things to achieve the big things for us.
Fantastic. Janine, I'll close out with you on that same question. Anything that you can provide to the audience and what you've learned recently?
Sure. Something that I've observed from the company, so I've been at Moore & Giles for 3 years, and back in, can't come through a talk without mentioning the COVID days. back in 2020, there was a lot of uncertainty in the world in a lot of ways, and the company decided to start offering discounts on our products to customers. And, as time has gone on, as a luxury brand, we have felt that is not in alignment with our grants. We have kind of had to do some backwards, movement. How do we add value and provide upsells to customers or gifts and provide a luxury experience without, just offering a 20% off because we want the revenue? And so I guess that my tidbit is just to double down on your brand and what you stand for, who you are, and especially in times that there might be uncertainty. We never know what's around the corner next. But, stick to who you are, and you don't have to just offer a discount at every turn just to make sure you have the customer for the next day. People will come to you for your brand and what you offer.
Yeah, keep the value solid and make iterative improvements and find people that also align with that value. That is so wonderful advice. I know we've got about 4 minutes left, so I'm going to ask one hot button topic, and this is around AI. I know we've been talking about AI in general. We've been talking about agentic discovery. And with the rise of AI, I think my question to the panel here is what's one trend or prediction you think will change? Or on the opposite, one that you think will actually remain the same? Anybody who want to start?
I have a quick answer for that. Go for it. So as a luxury good, we really pride ourselves in offering regular old phone service. You can call in and talk to a person to talk about your $15,000 sofa that you're ordering from us. And, I think there's just a lot of value to offering just solid customer service that is available, whether it be over email, online, or by phone. And I don't think that's going to go away. I think you're always going to need real people who can answer hard questions.
Absolutely. I think that the human element seems to be a thread across all of your brands, and that's a huge value. And I absolutely agree with you. I think that automation and agents will help with in discovering or in converting or helping get to the end, but there's always going to be that human element that'll be added to. But anybody else want to share whether or not what they think is going to change your?
But no, I was just going to add to that I think while artificial intelligence is going to obviously shape the future of e-commerce, emotional intelligence will differentiate how we use it, and can use an algorithm to explain why the pillow hurt your neck or navigate an acne concern. There is still a human need for that connectivity and that empathy. So I think things will drive AI is used to enhance and not to replace.
Yeah, we have a little AI chatbot, knowledge bot running on the website. It uses just the content of our website. We have all those recipes, blog posts, so we feel really good about the advice it gives back. And I think people were blown away at how good it was. A lot of skepticism at first, and it really was quite good. So the speed of change with AI is obviously something that we're all thinking about and trying to incorporate into our processes. But I don't know if anyone else saw the headline that the AOL is dropping dial-up service as of September 30th this year. I don't know if any of you knew that AOL still offered how to use service, but I'll still sometimes showing my age here, but they don't know what dial-up service is. I can either imitate the most of that golden noise of connecting to the internet. But so change takes time too. That AI is very exciting. Things will happen, but everything's not changing tomorrow. So don't freak out too much.
Totally. And Alice, in the last 60 seconds, anything that you want to add there?
Yeah, I think very similarly, actually, mine's over here. Very similarly, I mean, their AI feels a bit of a revolution right now, but I think in the same way that digital really changed the landscape for retailers, AI is going to do the same thing. Change is inevitable, and AI is going to accelerate that. But at the same time, we're a very resilient group of people, us retailers and e-commerce folks. So at the end of the day, what's not going to choose our willingness and our ability as businesses and leaders to adapt. And I think that's what we're seeing even with the BigCummers roadmap today. And what we're doing is adaptations. We're building our enhancing it. We're doing things that are expanding it as closer to our customers. And I think It's not even just, and I mean, don't get me started on AI and a PLS or an HR funeral system, but what AI is starting to bring us that connectivity and bringing that all together in one place.
Yeah, couldn't have summed it up better with regards to the overall theme of kind of like agility and staying on course and being able and adaptability. So with that, I thank you all so much for your insights. I really appreciate your expertise and the thoughtfulness in what you brought in these answers. So it was really fun getting to prepare for this. And thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.